My father-in-law tried to unalive my mother-in-law who also has cancer. So at this point, Mary got out safely and was staying at a hotel that we booked for her. And we did know that Daniel blamed Mary for Sam going no contact, but we had no idea how bad things got. For all intents and purposes, this next part is alleged and is as told to me by Mary and shared with her permission. So remember when I mentioned that Mary was committed recently? She did not feel safe talking to a social worker from the hospital at home, so she went to a public space. The social worker was the one who called crisis intervention. While she was being evaluated, Daniel showed up because he was tracking her location and was convinced that she was having an affair, and he made a huge scene. Like, they had to hold him back. He told them that she had and her purse, and of course she didn't, so she let them check and that ended up working out. But then he started going on about how crazy she is and how he could have her involuntarily committed. Fortunately, they told Mary her rights and that she didn't meet the criteria for involuntary commitment, but they did imply that she should go to the hospital to get further evaluated anyways for her safety. So she drove to the hospital right after, and that's how she ended up being committed. It was voluntary to get away from Daniel. And remember that strange phone call? Sam's intuition was right. Daniel was convinced that Mary had an affair many years ago and forced her to make that call to Sam. Daniel was also convinced that she's had many affairs over the years. There was an incident where Daniel tried to hurt Mary, and when she screamed, he stopped and laughed at her. She called 911 after, but then he threatened to take away their other child, who's a minor, so she hung up on the dispatcher. There were a few separate incidents that involved both and knives where Daniel threatened to unalive himself or unalive Mary. The details are honestly too disturbing for me to share. Daniel once threatened someone else's life, so the cops came to question him. They pulled Mary aside to warn her to be careful and said that Daniel answered all their questions right, but there was definitely something wrong with him. Daniel was always tracking her location and interrogating her about where she was going. He would even trap her in the house or the bedroom and not let her leave. At Mary's last job, her boss had a sense of what was going on, so they gave her a card for domestic violence services, and Daniel found it. He freaked out, he took her phone and texted her resignation to her boss. Daniel also kept getting fired from jobs or not having his business pursuits work out, yet he blamed Mary for their financial issues. Their mortgage hasn't been paid since April, and the foreclosure process has already started. If you would like to send a big fuck you to this terrible man, the best revenge is if Mary can successfully start a new life without him and survive cancer. I have a GoFundMe set up, and all digital coloring page sales will go to her until the goal is met.